Shalom, call Halal, Yahawah, Yahawashi, Qadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders, the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird among the heathens that look like the heathens. And to the Yahawah that are listening and learning, to you I say shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And as you can see, the divisions and the lines being drawn with this Wade versus Rowe thing and other topics, the gun topics. You still got food supply being being destroyed, animals that are used for consumption, for human consumption, being killed in the tens of thousands and the millions, millions of chicken, tens of thousands of cattle, and this is all orchestrated. Then you got these people complaining about not being able to murder a child. Hey, look, a 8-month-old baby, a 5-month-old baby it'd be no different from going into a school and shooting a first grader. It's the same thing. You're killing a child, man. And, so this is a nation of hypocrites. I'm screaming, my body, my choice, but then it's not your body, your choice, it's not your body, your choice when it comes to taking medication that can harm or kill you. This is, but let's get on with the lesson. This is going to be for the TikTok corner. And we're just going to go right into this thing. We're going to start with this Royal Melanin 989 video from the TikTok. So this will be another TikTok corner episode. So here we go.
All right, class. Can anyone tell me who invented the light bulb? Thomas Edison! That's not entirely true. The light bulb could more rightfully be attributed to Lewis Latimer, the black inventor behind the filament inside the bulb. His invention made light bulbs affordable.
So these Edomites have been stealing inventions that Jacob made, the so-called Negroes and Latinos, Native Americans made for literally since the inception of America, and then putting their own name. Well, when you own the patent, corporations, it's an easy thing to do. So it's many of things that have made life easy in America and around the world that were invented right here, that were invented by so-called black people, but they didn't get, any of the royalties or the money for it.
And efficiency enough for the general public, bringing electric light into households around the world. Well, so now you know. Wait, is that it? Hold on. We're not going to mention why he invented the filament? To create a better standard of living for people who had only just been freed from slavery? Are we going to ask why kids are apparently learning about Thomas Edison? Thomas Edison! Ugh. And not learning about Lewis
Democracy.
Latimer? These textbooks
Grenade.
are complete. There were black Roman warriors, black medieval knights, black classical musicians, black cowboys, black fighter pilots. Where are they? I worry about you humans because you only live, about 100 years? You rely on these stories to know your own history. Thanks to systemic racism, most of your storytellers prioritize white accomplishments, which leaves you with an incomplete picture. Ask yourself as you're learning history, who's telling the story?
Right.
Is it modified to make white readers comfortable? Are
Yes.
major details being left out that would credit people of color and center their point of view? Honestly, I should have asked for script approval before agreeing to do this.
We'll do some rewrites. I'm sorry. We didn't know.
Well, so now you know. I swear.
So this was a very powerful little animated cartoon here. Didn't mean to touch that.
With an
Let's go
all-new
back.
menu you're going to love.
Oh, that's nothing but Satan. And it's still playing even though I turned it off.
Excuse me.
Enjoy the menus
Oh, that's
menu at
nothing but
IHOP.
Satan. Wow. Oh, well, that kind of fits it. A lot of guns and destruction coming. So we'll just use that as our backdrop. All right. This guy. Esau with his blessing. Let me push this door up. It's locked. Yeah, that was nothing but Satan. I turned it off. You saw that, and it just kept playing. But let's go right to the scriptures, man. All right, because he talked about there being Roman warriors. You know, there was Roman emperors that were black Roman emperors, black Roman warriors, but you never see them portrayed in a lot of white history. Like they whitewashed history. All right, and there's no such thing as white. As you're looking at my man here with the with this bolt action Russian weapon, he's red. His skin is reddish. It's not white. You know. So that was the first lie they told. But let's go to the scriptures. Let's go to well, not the first lie, but one of the biggest lies. Is that, you know, we've done the research on that. That came into in 1681 is basically when they started, you know, referring to themselves as white people in law. They may have been using the term before that, but it was first time written in documentation. So they truly are self-proclaimed white people. All right, and that was in the state of Virginia where that took place. This is Deuteronomy 33 and 29, and it reads, Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by Yahawah, thy shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency. And thy enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. And their history is one of their high places because they've elevated themselves in history and made themselves out to be something they clearly are not. You know, what they are is a bunch of murdering thieves, land grabbers. This is Psalms 85 and 11. And it reads, Truth shall spring forth out of the earth, and the righteousness shall look down from heaven. And that truth springing forth out of the earth are all the relics that would prove what the woman said in the cartoon. All the relics from the medieval time proving that there are black faces carved into the castles all throughout Europe, throughout the UK, London, Ireland, Scotland, throughout Slovenia, and all these different places throughout Eastern Europe. You know, even in Poland and Romania, you had you know, in those areas you have castles and relics of so-called black people that go back to the Dark Ages and medieval times. But yet, if you watch television, especially, you know, if you were watching anything from the 1950s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, everything was portrayed as it was that Europe was just all white, you know, so-called white, so-called, self-proclaimed, and that is a complete fabrication. All right, and you know the so-called white man is just played out. All right, his women are especially angry at him because if you notice on the video that I clicked on and then, you know, when I lost control and it kept playing even though I turned it off, it said something about the patriarchy. And what you have to understand is that so-called white people are the minority already, and they're not going to become the minority. They truly are. And especially with the opioid epidemic, took out over 40 million, you know, young adults in the baby-making age of their generation over a 20-year period. You know, going back to right before the pandemic started. You know, the opioids did a huge number on the so-called white man. They lost lots of people to that. And like I said, childbearing age people died from the opioids. And then the second thing that they did is they have pushed, you know, to go kill your baby, you know, because white women were killing their children too. Just as, you know, because the most dangerous place on the earth for a so-called black child is in a black woman's womb. That's a fact. But white women were also, you know, slutting themselves out just like all the other women, and then running to have abortions to keep their. I don't have children, yeah, but you've had 4 or 5 abortions, you know. So to hide their promiscuousness, I can never say that word, you know, and just being so promiscuous, to hide that, you know. So so they're angry. They're saying that, you know, there's been said that this has only been done to save to basically preserve the so-called white race here in America, because why? Because it won't be enough for them to be the police officers, the fire departments, you know, in the judicial system, the sheriffs, you know, and all the positions of power that control policy, government, and money, and what money goes to what neighborhoods and what places. So, if that be the case, then they're in trouble. So that being the main reason why this Roe versus Wade was overturned. All right. But you're not gonna hear that talked about too openly. You'll find that on different social media platforms, but they're never going to, to admit that mainstream. That was the closest you're probably gonna see that I think that was from Fox, that little video in the beginning. But we're gonna click on another video now, and just to show you, man, that everybody's tired of the so-called white man, including his own women. All right, and we're gonna prove that. All right, because now the curses that are upon Jacob are now starting to fall upon him. Matter of fact, let me read that. Well, let me play the video, then I'll read that.
A college student was doing research on racism, and she did a survey on 17 colleges that are mostly white. And she asked random people if they had to get rid of one ethnicity or one race of people, who would it be and why? Of course, she's doing a research on racism, so she's fully expecting it to be people of color, whether it be black, Asian, Mexican, whatever. Y'all, 77% of the people said white people, and 91% of the people that she asked were white themselves. White people sick of their own shit, and I'm here for it.
And it is kind of funny. Another satisfying racial moment. But yeah, just last weekend, there was this very large-breasted, very attractive, but slutty, raunchy type Edomite woman that hangs out with all these Negroes. All right, she apparently loves BBC. She loves women too, because I heard her say it with her own mouth. And long story short, there was this was right next to camp last weekend, and there was an altercation where some pale male spit in the jig she happened to be with that weekend, because she was with another one the last weekend. Spit in his face, and he probably was jealous because the girl is very attractive. And she's tall. She's an attractive, Edomite woman with extremely large breasts, wide hips, and a big butt. And she has it all hanging out for everybody to see. And that just, and I don't know what was up with this dude, but he got upset and he spit in Jake's face, and Jake laid his ass out, and then he laid on the ground and screamed like he was dying and made all this noise and and this ruckus and screaming 911. So the brown chick that was with him, all right, she let's put her face back on the screen while I tell the story. She snuck up from behind him while he was on the phone trying to dial 911 and snatched his phone and ran away with it, and he jumped up again chasing her. And I'm like, okay, I thought you were so hurt and you couldn't move. So everybody on the street is witnessing this as he goes running off chasing her. This white woman that you've been hearing about, all his stuff, his belongings, his book bag and all, his backpack and all the stuff, she just politely grabbed his stuff and snatched it and ran across the street and actually ate it, and ran away with all the stuff and jumped on it, ran into the train station where all her friends met her over there. all the including the one she's probably going to be with that night. So this man is losing. Esau is just losing every way whatsoever and creating this crazy division among all people. And like I said, the curses that are upon him, that are upon us, are starting to fall upon him. This is Job 27:15, and it says, "And those that remain of him shall be buried in death, and his widow shall not weep." She did not weep for that dude, for that white dude. She didn't care that he got punched and laid out, And that sort of thing is happening often. He is out here losing, man. This is Deuteronomy, I think it's Deuteronomy 30:7. Right, and it reads, Deuteronomy 30:7, "And the Lord thy power, Yahawah thy power, will put all these curses upon thy enemies, and upon them that hate thee, which persecuted thee." And you got to remember, you go back to Deuteronomy 28 chapter and read from the 15th verse all the way down to the 68th verse. Well, if you read that, it's beyond evident that the Negro, Latino, and Native American so-called are the people that went through those atrocities, through those curses. And now those curses are beginning to fall upon the Edomite race, the so-called white man, because he's completely divided on almost every politically, geopolitically. They're divided in their beliefs. They're divided in what they wants and needs, and they're divided on every topic. And they're starting to really have this disdain between the so-called white woman and the so-called white man. The same way that you see this hatred, this between the so-called black man and black woman, is also starting to show itself with the white male and the so-called white woman. It just hasn't been so white women until lately. It just hasn't been. Haven't been doing videos and things like that. You'll hear it in conversation, and you hear it said, but you've never seen them just like white women get on the internet and start bad mouthing them men. Well, they're colonizers and they're murderers, and you know, and they're this and they're that. You never hear them say that in a setting where it goes viral. But don't be shocked if you do, if that starts to happen. All right, because women, and because as they begin to lose more and more, you know, their women are attracted to power. All right, but let me grab Job 13 and 4, because 13 and 14, Job 13, 14, or is it 13 and 4? Yeah, 13 and 4. And it reads, "But ye are forgers of lies, you're all physicians of no value." And referring back to their history, because they just lie about history, and they don't tell the truth about their history. And that's why they hate what they refer to as critical race theory, when it's not theory at all. It's critical race facts. And see that, and what's happening is that, you know, like I saw in the video earlier, time is their energy. I mean, is not their energy, but their enemy, because they're running out of it. So that's why they're moving, and they're moving so fast, and they're trying to run from their past and run from who they are, but they can't. You know, it was I don't know, was that Teddy Pendergrass or Harold Melvin in the Blue Notes? I think it was Harold. You can't hide from yourself. It was like a big disco cut. You know, you can't hide from yourself. Everywhere you go, there you are. You know, so they can't hide from themselves either. But let's get this quick thing on the Devil's Punch Bowl right here.
Let's talk about the time the American government allowed tens of thousands of black people to die in concentration camps. Let's talk about the Devil's Punch Bowl. So the end of the Civil War is quickly approaching, and with the Emancipation Proclamation, thousands upon thousands of now free black...
Now, remember, this is where he messes up. They were not free. See, that's where you got to really look up and study the meaning of words. They were emancipated, meaning they were taken, which literally means you're transferred from one owner to another. So they were transferred from the private sector to the public sector to be owned by the government, to be used for free labor and other things, to be used for low paying wages, and to be used by the government. All right, including serving in the military. So let's get that part correct.
People and escapees are roaming the South. And the city of Natchez, Mississippi was a hotbed for these black people to go to. But the population quickly rising from 10,000 to over 100,000. The Union Army was occupying this area, and at the time they said, hey, let's deal with the influx of people by building concentration camps. They re-enslaved these people in about 3 concentration camps in the area that's now known as the Devil's Punch Bowl. It's called that because of the way it's shaped. It's a large cavernous pit with trees rounding the top. The men would do work all day while women and children were trapped behind walls. Over 20,000 and probably more black people died in these concentration camps from starvation and disease. That area is now surrounded by peach trees, and these trees are believed to be fertilized by the bodies of the 20,000 souls who thought they had freedom. Let's talk about the time.
So, right. So that's just one atrocity. And, and they said they were begging for their lives and saying they'll go back to the plantation. Just don't let us, but Esau was merciless, man. But you know what? That's why they're going to be given a judgment without mercy, who showed no mercy. That's scriptural. But this is Ezekiel. We're going to wrap this up. This was Ezekiel 35. And I'm going to read like verses 1 through 9. All right. And it reads, Moreover, the word of Yahawah came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. Mount Seir is the house, the race of the so-called white man. All right. And they try to deny it. They've tried to deny and hide from that for centuries now. All right. And say unto it, Thus saith Yahawah power, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. And I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am Yahawah. So they're going to be brought to naught. All right. And it says, Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity was at an end. So when our iniquity came to an end, they actually forwarded the affliction and made it even worse, because things got worse for Jacob after slavery than it was while they were in it. Because while you were in slavery, you actually had value, all right, to your masters. But after slavery, you had no value except for entertainment in your painful, horrific death. All right. And that's what they would do. They made sure Jake had a horrific and painful deaths and made spectacles of it. And took pictures and posed with the bodies. This is the reason why this critical race theory, this CRT, gets under their skin so much, because on those images it reveals who they really are, because you see their parents, their uncles, their fathers, their grandfathers, their great grandfathers. You see their people on there and the true nature of them. All right. Verse 6, Ezekiel 35:6. Therefore, as I live, saith Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Thus will I make Mount Seir desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. So they're going to get completely annihilated and get bloodied. All right. And it says, and I will fill his mountains with his slain men, meaning his countries. Mountains represent power structures, countries, and governments. All right. And in this case, that's exactly people. And this is exactly what it's talking about. And I will fill his mountains with his slain men. In thy hills and in thy valleys and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. And I will make thee a perpetual desolation. And thy cities shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord, and that he is Yahawah. And that is exactly the time that we're entering in. All right, all this chaos, because they're going to come down with great wrath, because they know that they have but a little time. All right, so they're going to use their blessing, which is a sword, which is what the modern day sword is the gun, and the ultimate sword is the missile. And they're going to use all of that, because they're going to go out kicking and screaming. They're not just going to hand over the kingdom. All right. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Qadash, Wa Abba, Kwam, Yasserala, Shalom.